I applied a couple of lifecycle policies on my S3 bucket. So this is what that bucket is. And if I go here, seems I enable logs also. So these all are the logs. Yeah, I enable server access logs. See here, I applied lifecycle management role, and these all are the objects is in Glacier. So as the object is in Glacier, can we view that object immediately? Can we view? No, we cannot view that object immediately. So if you want to view that object, you need to initialize the restoration option. So let's go to this resume.txt and see here, open, download, these options are not available. These options not available. Even I cannot make it public also. I cannot even make it as a public just because of this object is in Glacier. So when that object is in Glacier, we cannot access that object immediately. See, if you recall our the storage classes. So this Glacier for archive, or if you are okay with restore duration, we can go with this Glacier, right? So now, as I applied lifecycle management role, it is in Glacier. But I want to view this document. So in that case, we need to initialize a restoration option. So here, select this object, whatever the object is in Glacier. Select the object, go to actions, this option, restore. So select that restore option. Now we have different restoration options, and it is important for your certification exam. These restorations. So when the object is in Glacier, the first one is bulk retrieval. If you have a large set of data, you can go with this bulk retrieval option. And typically it is going to take 5 to 12 hours. For example, TBs of the data you have. So in that case, you need to pick this option, bulk retrieval. So then standard retrieval. This is going to take 3 to 5 hours. 3 to 5 hours, that is a standard retrieval. We always go with this standard retrieval. It is a cost effective option. You are not going to get charged anything additionally if you selected this standard retrieval feature. Then the last one is expedited retrieval. We are going to get within 1 to 5 minutes only, but we have a limitation. Whatever the object you are initializing or restoration initializing, that size must be less than 250 MB only. Then only you can initialize a restoration option. Okay, so these are the 3 restorations we have. So if your object is more than 250 MB, you need to go with the standard retrieval. We do not have any other option. So let me go here. I'm going to select expedited retrieval, and it is going to take 1 to 5 minutes. So then here, for how many coming days you want to access this object? What happened when you initialize restoration? You are not going to get that object from Glacier. You are going to get a temporary object in RRS. You are going to get a temporary object. The same data is going to copy. The same file will be in RRS. For these defined days, it will be available. After 2 days, whatever the RRS object you got, it is going to delete automatically. So only for coming 2 days, you are going to get a temporary object with a storage class with RRS, reduced redundancy storage. Then it is going to delete automatically. So now I'm going to initialize a restoration. Click on restore. Now restoration is success. Let's observe these object properties. Here you can find an option, restoration is in progress. Restoration is in progress. So if you wait for 3 to 5 minutes, you will get that object. Now, meanwhile, like so this as I have enabled, logs, I'm getting all this. But if you scroll down, if you observe, see, we have uploaded multiple files. We have multiple versions for this resume.txt and all these objects. But now, if you observe, there is no previous versions, only latest versions are there, just because of on our S3 bucket. We applied a lifecycle management role where previous versions of the object I am not moving any transitions and I am directly expiring. So immediate next day, all previous versions are going to be deleted. Immediate next day, all previous versions will delete. So that is what I configured. So that is why I do not have any previous versions for this, these objects like resume.txt, java.txt. But when I configured, yes, I uploaded multiple times. But now we do not have. So lifecycle management role is deleted automatically. Those all. So you can apply lifecycle management role and you can save some cost and you can automate the storage class transitions. Again, if you want to perform this immediately, or immediately I have some data, immediately I want to move it to Glacier, or immediately I want to move it to standard infrequently access. We can use some third-party tools. You can perform that, but there is no direct option. You must go with default values. From standard to infrequently access, minimum 30 days. From infrequently access to Glacier, 60 days from object creation date. 61st day, you can move it to Glacier. So I believe you remember those values. So you must go with that. Okay, see here, now this resume.txt is available. It is showing storage class as a Glacier, but I can open this object now. I'm able to open and I'm able to view all the data. But earlier, do we have these options enabled? So we have initialize the restoration, and when the restoration is going to expire? On November 21st, that means I have given 2 days, right? So on that particular day, at that particular point of time, this restored object is going to expire. It is going to delete automatically. You will have your object in Glacier, but in simple, these all options are going to be disabled. You need to initialize the restoration again. So that is a Glacier. So any questions on this, guys? Yeah, price difference is there based on the option you are selecting. So this is lowest cost one. This is going to cost us, and this is going to if you have large set of data. How to delete an object from Glacier? Don't we know that? We discussed that, right? If you apply lifecycle management role, it is going to delete automatically. Even it is in Glacier also. Okay, so now let's observe. So I'm going to disable this lifecycle role. So it is disabled. That means no lifecycle role is there on these objects. Okay. So now, if you want to delete, even you can delete that one also. I already done. So I deleted. Now let's discuss about replication. So in our material I have given, we have only one option, that is cross-region replication. But please correct that. Amazon recently introduced same region replication. Okay. So I believe you know what is replication, right? The same data will replicate. We are going to have another copy of our data. We are going to have another copy of our data. So it is going to copy automatically without manual interventions, manual actions. Whatever the data you have in bucket 1, it is going to replicate to bucket 2 automatically. Let's assume like, in 2016, February 28th or 27th, we got a major outage. We got a major outage for Northern Virginia region. So that entire Northern Virginia platform is down for approximately 20 minutes. So 20 minutes is a huge downtime actually. So your application will not get any data from S3 platform. So whatever the website you are running on top of here, simple, whatever the application depend on an S3, those all will stop functioning. Right? Because the platform is down, entire platform is down, your data is not available. So, to overcome such type of issues, what you can do is you can maintain your data in another regions, one of the bucket. That is one reason. Another use case is you have customers only in 2 geographical locations. Only in 2 geographical location, and whatever the data you uploading into bucket 1, it need to be replicated to bucket 2 automatically. And you are pointing all requests to that bucket 2. Again, it's going to be one-way replication. It is not a two-way replication, remember that. One source bucket can be replicated to only one destination bucket. We cannot configure for multiple buckets. Okay, so now let's pick any of the bucket. I'll take the same bucket. Okay, I think I have large set of data here. I'll delete that. And if you really want to delete, make sure you set version into show. Then you can delete the data. When you set version to show and when you delete, you will not get any delete marker. Or we even have a direct option. Select this bucket, empty. It is going to delete everything. So I thought only some objects, but okay. So now I do not have any data. Everything is deleted. Okay. So now let me upload a couple of objects here. So now this bucket is in Mumbai region. If it is the same region replication, you can create another bucket in Mumbai region only. Then you can enable replication. For compliance reason or any other purposes, your organization need to maintain another copy in any other regions. Create a bucket there, enable the replication. So I'll show you with the cross-region replication first. So this is my bucket and I'm going to create a new bucket. Click on create bucket and here I'm giving the bucket name. I'm giving today's date .replica and I'm creating this not in Mumbai region. I'm going to select this like Sydney region. You can pick any. Click on create. Okay, so it got created. Here is my bucket. Now see here, all our buckets are spread across 2 regions. If you have any other bucket in any other region, it is going to show 3. I have total 17 buckets. Out of that, those 17 buckets are spread across 2 regions. That means some are in Mumbai, some are in Sydney region. Like only one is in Sydney region. Now, let's go to, excuse me. Okay. So this is my first bucket. Mumbai region 1. I'm navigating to replicate And this is a cross region replication and same region replication. So click on add rule. So here is a entire bucket option. So do you want to replicate entire bucket, or else object which have a particular tag or particular prefix? That means if you want to apply for only one particular folder, you can choose that option, or whatever the data is uploaded with one particular tag, you can apply for that particular tag only. See, while uploading data itself, we can add a tag. I'll quickly show that. For example, you are uploading this linux.txt to this S3 bucket. Click on next. So this is a permissions on this object. Click on next. What storage class you want to select, and here is a tags. For example, I'm going to give a tag for this, Java POC. Let me save this. Then click on next. Click on upload. Now one object is uploaded, and that object contain a particular tag with a name called name and value called Java POC. So now I want to apply this lifecycle management role or this cross region replication for the object where it contains that particular tag. So in that case, I can select this prefix or tag here, where tag name must be tag, key name must be name, and value must be Java POC. Whatever the object contain this particular tag, only that data is going to replicate to destination bucket. Not only here, even while configuring lifecycle role also we have this option. We seen this option. Again, if you really don't want to go with these options, you want to apply for entire bucket, simply select this option. It is going to apply for entire bucket. Now, this option, replication criteria. Now, let's quickly take one diagram. So in my case, I have a bucket is in Mumbai region, and I have another bucket in Sydney region. And as I mentioned, it is a one-way replication. I am able to replicate all data from Mumbai to Sydney. Now, the data replication is going to happen over the internet. So I am worrying about the security. While data is copying from our source bucket to destination bucket, in between, if you want to enable replication, you can select this option, and what encryption key you want to choose, you can select that. For example, I want to encrypt all the data by using this AWS 730 batch key, that one we created in our last session. So data is going to be replicated with that particular KMS key. Again, I put that in disable state. So if you want to, while it is in transit state, when it is in transit state, if you want to replicate, you can select a KMS key. Otherwise, just leave that blank. Then click on next. Now, where do you want to store this? The destination bucket. So if you go here, if you select, it is showing multiple buckets. So we can replicate objects across buckets in different AWS region. That is called as a cross region replication. Or we can even replicate to same regions bucket, that is a same region replication. Okay, I have a bucket in Sydney region. Let's go here and look for that. See, it is in Sydney region. So I'm going to select that. Okay, and it is saying this bucket doesn't have versioning enabled. Whatever the bucket you want to enable this replication, source bucket as well as destination bucket must be enabled with versioning. Must be enabled with versioning, then only you can perform the replication option from source to destination. So that Sydney region bucket is a brand new one. I have not enabled versioning. So if you want to enable versioning, manually you can go there and you can enable that. Otherwise, click on enable versioning. Right, now versioning is enabled on this bucket. So from Mumbai region bucket 2, I'm replicating to Sydney region. Now storage class, this is important to understand. Now I have some data here. And as I'm accessing on daily basis, what I did, I'm selected standard storage here. I'm accessing on daily basis. Why? Because that is my primary bucket or source bucket. Just for backup purpose, I'm replicating all data to destination bucket. Now, do I really need to maintain same storage class for my destination bucket? So based on access pattern, for example, it's just a backup purpose. I really don't want to access on daily basis. When this Mumbai region is down, then only I'm going to Sydney region and I'm going to access the data. But I'm not accessing on daily basis. So in that case, what is the best storage class to save some cost? Glacier again I need to restore. I want data immediately. When Mumbai goes down, I want data immediately. Infrequently accessed. Either is it standard infrequently accessed or one zone infrequently accessed. So you can just go there and you can select that. Or else, if Mumbai region bucket is down, if you are okay to initialize restoration, if you are okay to get the data, then you can choose Glacier also, no issues. Or if you don't know the access patterns, select intelligent tiering. So you really no need to maintain same storage class in your destination bucket. Simple. So if you want to maintain same storage class, don't select anything here. Whatever the data you have here, if data is standard, they are also standard. If data is standard infrequently accessed, they are also infrequently accessed. But whatever the data is replicating, I want to choose a storage class called standard infrequently accessed. Only replicated data. I can directly upload some files here into this bucket. Will that get same infrequently accessed or S3 standard? Any guess? See, whatever the data I'm replicating, I selected to replicate with storage class called standard infrequently accessed. But I can directly even upload data to Sydney region bucket, right? So will that data get infrequently accessed or standard? It gets standard. Only replicated data will get standard infrequently accessed. The regular uploads into Sydney region bucket, again we'll get it into standard only. So select that option here. So then object ownership. So if you can even replicate to another AWS users bucket also. So in that case, you can change that ownership of the object. So as I am replicating to same AWS account one, I'm leaving this option. Then click on next. Now we need an IAM role. We are going to discuss these roles in detail in our EC2 module, but I'll try to explain you this. So we have source bucket as well as destination bucket. If I want to replicate manually, I can do that. I told you we have copy and paste option, right? I can go to Mumbai region bucket, I can copy all the objects. I can go to Sydney and I can paste there. But do I really need to manage that always? If you're not applying any role, yes, you need to. On behalf of us, Amazon need to replicate data automatically. When an object is uploaded to Mumbai, it need to replicate immediately. So one service need to perform task on behalf of us. It need to give valid permissions on our source bucket as well as destination bucket. Those permissions we are going to give by using IAM role option. So go here, create new role. The first option is what name you want to give. So I'm going to call this as a replication from Mumbai to Sydney region. And do you want to enable this replication immediately or you want to disable it? So I'm going to enable it immediately. Then click on next. This is a review screen. What is your source bucket? This is what my source bucket is, and I'm replicating entire bucket from Mumbai region to Sydney region. In Sydney region, what is your bucket? This is what my bucket is. What storage class you are selecting for replicated objects, only replicated objects, standard infrequently accessed. And I'm creating a new role, giving a role name and role priority is 1. I have only one role at moment. That's why priority is 1. We'll talk about that. And status is enabled. Click on save. Now, cross-region replication is created. So whatever the data you have here, it need to replicate to Sydney region 1. Let's go to that bucket and let's observe that. This is a Sydney region bucket, but I did not get any data. Even when I set version to show also, I did not get any data. The reason is, before enabling cross-region replication, whatever the data you already have, it is not going to replicate. All the future or subsequent uploads will replicate automatically. So these files I'm not going to get. Why? Because these files already existed before applying cross-region replication. So that is why I'm not getting that. But now I enable, right? So if I upload any of the file, for example, I'm going to upload these 3 objects, and I'm uploading to Mumbai region. See this? I'm uploading to Mumbai region. Click on upload. All the 3 objects got uploaded successfully, and all the 3 objects having S3 standard as a storage class. Right. Now let's navigate to Sydney region 1. Give a quick refresh. There you can see all the 3 objects got replicated automatically. If you observe the storage class, it is a standard infrequently access. Why? Because this data is replicated from Mumbai region to Sydney region. Now I have an object, AWS 730. I'm directly uploading to Sydney region. I've directly uploaded, but it got S3 standard. Why? Because it is a direct upload, not a replicated data. Only replicated data will get this particular storage class. Again, if I want to move this, yeah, you can just go and apply lifecycle management role. Okay. Now, if I delete some file in Mumbai region bucket, will that delete in Sydney region? No. We are maintaining a backup copy there. If it is delayed, what is the meaning of that backup? It is not going to delete. So now I have a file called Mumbai kp.pem, and that got replicated from Mumbai, and I'm going to delete that object. Actions, delete, click on delete. So that object is deleted in Mumbai region. Let's navigate to Sydney region. Let's give a refresh. You can even wait for a couple of minutes. You still have this Mumbai kp.pem. So it is not going to delete. It is a backup copy we are maintaining. And I uploaded this AWS 730 now, right? It is not replicating here just because of it is only one-way replication. Okay. So you cannot create chain system. You cannot create like a chain system. So that means you cannot even enable replication back. It is going to loop, infinity loop basically. Now object is copied here, immediately it is going to copy here, immediately it is going to copy here, it is going to be infinity loop. So that is why it is not going to allow this chain system. Agree or not? See, you created one file here, immediately it will copy here. If you apply replication, this is treated as a new file. Again, it will try to upload here. This is going to be infinity loop. So that is why it won't allow. You can same region bucket or another region bucket. That's completely our requirement. Based on our requirement, we can choose that. So that is a cross-region replication. Now we have only one replication rule on this bucket. Only one replication rule. So that is why we have priority 1. We can even apply multiple rules also, but you can replicate to same bucket. Let's do that. Along with this, I'm going to add another rule. Click on add rule. I want to apply entire bucket. So this time, instead of entire bucket, I'm going to give a tag. I'm going to select where name of the object is going to be Java POC. Then only I'm going to apply this. Then click on next. And destination bucket C, is it allowing us to change this? To the same destination bucket, we are adding another rule. Again, it is not allowing us to choose any other bucket. Even explicitly, if you click on edit, if you're trying to select any other bucket, is it allowing us to select any other bucket? Only one bucket. So that is enabled with object lock. Even if you try to create, it won't allow. This entire previous one will not be applicable. So it is going to pick entire new bucket. So let's click on add rule, and I'm going to add a prefix where name is equal to Java POC. Then click on next, and it is going to replicate to same. Now, if you want to change the storage class of the objects, you can even select that. So this time I'm going to select one zone in frequently access. Click on next, and here it is going to pick the role automatically. Why? Because we already created a role. And here, what is a rule name? So you can give new rule. So then, what is a priority? For our existing replication, we have priority as 1. And if I gave highest priority to this, first this replication is going to happen, then this replication is going to happen. When you have multiple, for this one I'm going to give highest. For example, if I gave low, if I click on next, if I click on save, now if I replicate any of the object, if it comes under this, like it is going to first, this replication is going to happen, then after this replication is going to happen. Why? Because we have given priority values. So generally most of the times we will go with only one replication. So if you want to, you can even configure that. That is a cross region replication. And make sure you remember, data transfer out from one region to another region, it will cost us. If it is in same region, yes, we are not going to get charged for that. But data transfer out from region, not only for this service, not only for S3, you can pick any other service, data transfer out from one region will cost us. Okay. So if you want to test, you can pick same region replication and you can even test that. Simple, select Mumbai region bucket only. That bucket must be enabled versioning. Couple of minutes back, I had shown only one bucket out of 17. Why? Because that is the only one enabled with versioning. Remaining all are not enabled. Okay. So that is a cross region replication or same region replication. So any questions on this, guys? Okay, does tag names and values case sensitive? No. So if you rename file in Mumbai, what will happen in Sydney region? That is not going to renamed in Sydney region. So after enabling replication, does the object from source bucket will inherit all properties in target bucket? See, the same object is going to replicate there, but with only storage class. The properties, you are going to get a different version ID there. And what properties you are going to configure on destination bucket, it is going to apply with that settings only. For example, Mumbai region, you made it public, but Sydney region, you have not made it public. So it will get Sydney region bucket settings only. And you are going to get a completely new version ID, technically a new object available in our Sydney region. So now we're done with replication, and let's discuss any features pending here. We're done with all these options. Let's discuss about permissions. Now we already know this feature, block public access, ACLs. Now we'll discuss about bucket policies. So let's assume you have a scenario Like you have an IAM user, you want to give full permissions on S3 platform, but not on only one particular bucket. And again, you really don't want to make him to upload any object into that particular bucket. I want to restrict only Denny, I want to restrict only upload option on one particular bucket. Remaining, I'm okay to perform anything. So in that case, difficult to manage such type of permissions with IAM level. So what you can do, you can create a policy in resource level. You can apply that here. Resource level, I'm going to create a bucket policy and I'm going to apply on this bucket. So when that particular IAM user comes and when he try to access, this is going to evaluate. If it is allowing, then yes. If it is denying, then it is going to reject. So we discussed, if you allow 1,000 times, if you are denying at least in one layer, deny is going to take effect. So I'm denying some operations at bucket level. If we even have admin permissions on my entire AWS account, if we even have full permissions on entire S3 platform, still I'm denying at bucket level or resource level, then deny is going to take effect. Remember that. Okay. Again, these policies you can written in JSON format, but we can have policy generators. We have policy generator. Here is a one. Navigate to policy generator. Okay, so here is the AWS policy generator. We can apply for multiple services, guys. See, even we can apply for SNS. See, in our last session, when we configured events, I asked you to give permissions for everyone. But instead of everyone, for an SNS topic, you can give permissions only on one S3 bucket also. That we will discuss. So, this policy generator not only applicable for S3, you can even create multiple. Even you can create IAM policy also from here. So let me pick S3 bucket policy. Okay. Now, before that, I will create an IAM user. Okay. So click on add user. And I'm going to call this user as test user, and I'm going to give AWS Management Console access. And I'm going to add this user to admin group, and that group contain a policy called administrator access. Or if you don't have that, navigate manually. I'm going to attach administrator access directly. So then click on add tags, review, then click on create user. So one user is created. Okay. Let me log in as that user. You got what I'm trying to perform? You want to turn off the AC? So I'm logging to AWS account by using an IAM user where he have administrator access on my entire AWS platform. So test user and given a password. Okay, let's navigate to S3. So decide on what bucket you want to work on. So I'll apply this on this particular bucket. So now this test user, when he trying to upload any of the object to this S3 bucket, and he is able to do that, it is success. Why? Because he have valid permissions on S3 platform. Now I want to restrict this user to upload that object to this particular bucket only this particular bucket. So is it easy to manage at IAM level? In future, I may create a new bucket. If I Denny at IAM level, Denny is going to apply on entire platform, not on one particular resource. So I want to apply on one particular resource this time. So let's navigate to policy generator. What is a principle? That is nothing but to what are all the IAM users you want to create this statement, create this policy. So you can give IAM individual user ARN, or else you can give a group also. For example, you have a group of users added to one particular group. So you can even get that group's ARN. For example, let's assume you have an admin group, you can give this group ARN. How many users you have in this group? It apply for all those users. Or else if you want to apply for individual user, I want to apply for this only test user. Let's go here, grab this user's ARN. ARN stands for Amazon resource name. That is going to be unique across the globe. By using this ARN, you can share resource to another AWS account also. The uniqueness will come from this 12-digit AWS account ID. Okay, now let's grab that, give that here. If you want to add multiple, you can give comma separated values. Now, on what service it is going to pick automatically based on the type of policy you selected. Then what actions you want to allow or Denny. So at moment it is selected with allow. But I want to Denny one operation, select Denny. Instead of allow, I'm going to Denny. Again, what actions you want to Denny on this particular bucket? Here we need to give bucket name. So go here, pick the required option. So I want to Denny put object. Put object is nothing but upload. Okay. So not only that, you can even select whatever you want. You can just go here. You can select put bucket policy. That means he cannot apply a bucket policy. So you can just go here. You can select. I'll go with the put bucket. Put object into one particular bucket. I'm talking about one particular bucket. So I'm going to select put object. Now here is a ARN name. So ARN name of our S3 bucket. Go here. This is what the ARN name of our S3 bucket. Grab that. Enter that here. Now, whatever the operation I selected, is it a bucket level operation or is it apply inside folders or inside files also? Bucket level, are you sure?
We don't select any bucket.
See, I can create a folder here. So now within this bucket level means only here. Inside bucket, for example, I can go inside this folder, I can upload documents also, right? So whatever the policy I'm going to apply, I want to apply inside subfolders, inside everything. So what you can do is, you can give /star. That means inside that bucket, apply for everything. Apply for all subfolders and everything. Star means everything, right? Within that bucket, I'm going to apply for everything. Again, you should not combine bucket level operations and object level operations. That's why I removed that bucket ACLs, bucket policy one. So add a statement. Now one statement got added. Along with this, I even want to Denny another operation. I can go here, I can add that, I can click on add statement. Then once I'm ready with all these things, I'm going to generate a policy. This is a policy we have generated. Copy that policy, navigate to this bucket, apply that here, click on save. So if you are getting any errors here, that means you are making some mistake at this level. Simple. You are making mistake on this option. Either you are giving slash star unnecessarily or you are missing slash star for the selected operation. Just you need to just check that mainly. So now I have applied one policy here. Now go back here. Earlier it is success when you try to upload an object. Now let's try to upload another object into same S3 bucket. Click on upload and immediately I got an error. Not only here, even if I go inside that Avinash directory, when I'm trying to upload, again I end up with an error. Just because of this applied policy is denying that operation. Now I applied for only one operation. You may get a doubt. Can this user, he can go here, he can navigate to bucket policy, he can delete this policy? Yes, he can. Why? Because I have not denied that operation, right? I'm denying only one particular operation, and he except that operation, he have all other accesses. So he can even go here, he can delete that. Then after he can upload that. So whatever the operations you want to deny, select all that here. Select all that operations for the given IAM user, then you can apply that. All actions on the particular bucket. Give that add statement. You want to remove any, you can generate and you can simply apply. See here, action S3:/ that means related to S3, I'm going to deny all operations on this particular resource for this particular IAM user. I'm denying everything. So if you observe, oh, that is gone, I think. Let me keep this aside. Now, if you select only one particular operation, I'm going to deny only one operation on only one particular object, one particular bucket. Add statement. If you observe this, so here action S3:/ here under action only S3 get object. Star means everything, but here action S3: get object. Again, what you allowing or denying, that you will get from effect operation. Effect is denying. Then on what resource you are applying this? On an S3 bucket called this particular bucket. Then to what user? I am going to select an IAM user. So in simple, for this IAM user, you are denying to perform this operation on this particular resource. Remaining these SID, version, statement, no issues. Really no need to worry about that. But only this action, first thing, effect, allow or deny. Third thing, on what resource you are allowing or denying. Again, for what resource you are allowing or denying. So you must take care about these four things. Effect, allow or deny. Principle, for what user, for what IAM user, or for what group, what actions you are denying, on what resource you are allowing or denying. You can select that. So you can generate a couple of and you can apply. So then you can design these bucket policies accordingly. Okay. So again, if you want to perform this IAM level, we can do that. Let's quickly do that. I'm navigating to policy. Now you know what is resource. That's why I'm explaining you this. Whenever you're creating a policy, choose a service and I'm going to pick S3. What action you want to allow or deny? I want to deny. Now again, what action you want to deny? So I want to deny one particular write operation. That is nothing but put object. Okay. For this user, for this policy, for whatever the user I'm going to apply, he cannot upload an object. Remaining everything I'm okay to allow. But again, resource, select the resource. Do you want to apply this on a specific resource or all resources? All resource means all S3 buckets. If you want to apply for only one particular, go here, click on add ARN. Now it is asking what bucket, within that what bucket, what object. So I'm going to select any bucket and any object. Now I'm going to click on add. For example, if I want to apply for only one bucket, I can give the bucket name and make sure you select any, then click on review policy, then any put operation, click on create policy. Now while creating an IAM user, if you associate that policy, that IAM user cannot upload any object to any S3 bucket. Again, if you want to modify, if you want to apply for one S3 bucket, you can do that. Okay, I believe here is a one. You can just go here. You can edit the policy. So, oh, this is the previous one. Then you put operation I'm talking about. Edit policy. Expand this. So here, instead of all, I'm going to remove specific resource. Click on add ARN. What is a bucket name? Just go here, give your bucket name. Inside that bucket, any object. Click on add, then click on review policy. Save changes. So now, this permission I'm applying at IAM user level. And we even have bucket level also. Remember, if you have Denny, that is going to have highest priority, how many times you are allowing, whether you are an administrator, whoever you are. Remember that, that is an important point for your SysApps administrator exam. Okay. And again, one quick thing, if you don't have list permissions, you cannot get anything into S3 platform. First of all, you need to have list. So whatever the resource you have, it must be list. So we need to look into that also. So any questions on these bucket policies, guys? Can you view this bucket policy and can you tell, okay, what exactly happening with this? You got some basic idea about this? So spend some time, generate couple of bucket policies, try to apply. Then, okay. What is difference between IAM policy for Denny bucket access versus bucket? One is at user level, another one is at resource level. Nothing difference there. All right. So then the CORS configuration, basically this is a regular thing. And CORS stands for cross-origin resource sharing. Sometimes some browsers or some computers will not allow to run any JavaScripts within that browser or any scripting within that browser. So in that case, we can run that scripts and everything from remote system. That mechanism is nothing but CORS configuration. So we can apply that on our S3 bucket to run such type of scripts. So that is a CORS. So that's a regular one, not an S3 feature. You can apply that for any kind of website. So if you want to read more that, so you can look for CORS configuration. You can find a number of the articles related to that. So not only related to that, cross-origin resource sharing. So you can pick a couple of websites and you can try to understand. In simple, so the script is not allowed to execute in this machine, so it is going to execute in some other remote location and it is going to load all the content. Different origin, it is going to load. So that is CORS. When coming to management, we discuss life cycle and replication. Now we have analytics. When coming to analytics, the first one is storage class analysis. So it is, these three is not a big features actually, very simple ones. Simple, you are going to get a report about your access patterns. How much data you have, how much data is in S3 standard, how much is in S3 infrequently accessed, how frequently you are accessing that, what is your access patterns, what data you can move to what storage class. You are going to get a report on our storage class. So if you want to generate a report, click on add. What is the filter name you want to give? Then where do you want to store the generated report about this bucket? Go here, choose a destination bucket. So all your reports are going to store in that particular bucket. When you click on save, it is going to generate a report. Amazon S3 analyzes your access pattern and suggests a candidate is to transit object to infrequently access for a lifecycle role. It simply tells you have an object in S3 standard and from last 60 days you're not accessing that. Why don't you consider to move that object to infrequently access? It just gives a report and it will not come under free tier eligibility. Okay, so that is a simple, it gives a report about our storage class on our S3 bucket. If the bucket is contain any sensitive information or important information, then you can use that. If you want to save some cost, you can do that at organizational level. The next one is metrics. So basically throughout our AWS account, CloudWatch is a service. It's going to generate graphs on our AWS account. The service name is CloudWatch. Not only for S3 bucket, for EC2, for RDS, take any service. These all graphs will get by using CloudWatch, not Trail, the CloudWatch. So we have some free metrics as well as paid metrics. Under free metrics, you are going to get bucket size and number of the objects. When coming to paid metrics, this is like a paid metric request, how many put operation happened, how many get operations, and how many 400 related, how many 500 related data transfers, how much data is uploaded, how much data is downloaded. Such type of information you can get in graphical manner by using this metrics option. If you want to enable that, here next to your bucket you have an edit symbol. Click there. See here in bracket it is showing paid feature. So just select that. When you enable this paid feature, you are going to get all these graphs related to this bucket. That is request metrics, data transfer metrics, how much bytes downloaded, how much bytes uploaded, what is the first latency, first byte latency, everything you are going to get in graphs. Exactly same way, you are going to get more graphs and that graphs is going to contain this information. Again, this bucket is not that much important for us. So I'm assuming your bucket also not contain that much important information. So you really no need to enable this feature. At your organizational level, yes, if you want to continuously monitor, then you can enable that feature. That is a metrics. Inventory, it just gives inventory report. Inventory means it gives complete report about this. So you can generate daily inventory or weekly inventory. So if you want to get inventory, just go here, click on add new. Now here, what is the inventory name? And do you want to filter entire bucket or only one particular prefix? Where do you want to store this inventory report? Select the bucket. Destination prefix within this bucket you want to store in root or any of the particular folder. Frequency, you want to perform this on daily basis or weekly basis, you can select that. Then how you want to get that report? CSV format file, Apache ORC, Apache Parquet. Sure, you can select the required format. And again, do you want to get all the information about only current versions only or including all versions? It just gives a report on your S3 bucket, nothing more than that. And we do have optional fields also. What is the size of that object, when that is last modified, what is the storage class, what is the E tag, multi-part upload, replication status, encryption. You can pick all these required options if you want. Then if you want to encrypt the report, you can encrypt or you can set it to none. When you click on save, basically first report is going to take 72 hours. Then you will get your first report. After that, you can just simple, you are going to get an Excel sheet that is going to give information about all your data and what is the storage class or whatever the properties you selected. Okay. So generally in organizations, we will perform inventory periodically, right? Inventory means we will get report about all the resources, the status of that object and all. The same thing you are going to get it here. So these all are the bucket properties. These are the bucket properties on our S3. And we have import or export feature. So we will discuss that now. So with that topic, we are going to done with S3. We can start EC2. Okay, I got a couple of questions here. So what is advantage of SRS, same region replication? The data, you are going to have another copy of your data. For example, you have only one bucket and you are getting lot of requests into that particular bucket. Let's assume per second you are getting 5,000 requests. And that bucket is not able to handle. So what you can do, you can create another copy. You can route some of the requests to there. Yes, we can give this whenever we are creating an inventory. So when you select this destination bucket, here is an option. Within destination bucket, you can even give a folder also. So within this destination bucket, if you have a folder with the name called Avinash, this report is going to store inside this bucket's Avinash folder. Okay. So if you have a large set of data to upload or download, what you can do is we have some features. We can use that and we can upload or download all the data. Simple import or export. Is nothing but sending all our data to S3 platform or getting all our data from S3 platform to on-premise. So when coming to import or export, earlier Amazon used to accept our own hardware devices, but nowadays Amazon is not accepting. Okay, so if you have 50 TB of the data and you want to upload over the internet, for 1 TB, if you have 1 Gbps internet connectivity, it is going to take 3 days. So again, with 80% of the network utilization, so it is a big thing to upload such type of data over the internet. So instead of that, what you can do is Amazon have its own hardware confluence devices. You can request a device, you can get the device, and you can upload all the data. Or you can download all the data from S3 platform also. The first device is AWS Snowball. It is a 50 TB device. The second one is AWS Snowball Edge. Here we have multiple variants. We have the standard is 80 TB, but we are getting 50 TB, and recently we added that we got 47 TB one. So you know, the 80 TB is the standard capacity, and if you have petabytes of the scale data, we have AWS Snowmobile. It is a petabyte scale container. So based on our requirement, we can create a job. Amazon is going to send this device to us, and we are going to get a job ID, and we can configure an IP address to this device. Then you can transfer all the data to this device and you can ship this device back. Or if you already have all data in S3 platform, you can choose from what bucket you want to get all the data. Select that. Amazon is going to copy all the data to the device. They will send it to us. You can connect and you can copy. Then you can, I'll quickly show you where you can create a job. So now I'm navigated to AWS dashboard. And here, under migration and transfer, we have Snowball. Let's navigate to Snowball. So it is a big briefcase type of device, guys. AWS Snowball. This is a device. So you are going to contain a touch screen here, and another side you can even open this in two sides. So here you are going to have RJ45 cables. You can get connect that cable to your network, and we are going to have connectors like interfaces. You can install a small application, then you can get connect this. So I made a video on that. I'll show you that. So now select a country, India. Import into Amazon S3 or export from Amazon S3 or local storage only. When coming to local storage, if you want to use this in your network for a couple of days, you can use a local storage only feature. Import into from our local machine, you can send to AWS, export from S3. You already have TBs and DBs data in S3 platform. You want to get that to your local, then you can select this. So I'm going to select a import into, then click on next. And here you need to mention the shipping address. If you want to, you can click on add a new address and you can do that. So I've selected existing address. And here, shipping speed. The first one is express shipping. It is going to take 1 to 2 business days. Second one is standard shipping, 3 to 7 business days. You can select one, then click on next. Give a job name. So you can give a job name. Now, do you need a Snowball or Snowball Edge device? Based on your requirement, you can pick that device. So Snowball, okay, here 80 TB and 100 TB, different variants. So you can select that and select your destination bucket. The selecting bucket name is important. While configuring the Snowball, you are going to use this bucket name. So go here, select the bucket. So here, for example, I want to upload all the data to this particular bucket. If I want to maintain 2 copies, I can select 2 buckets also. You are going to get 2 copies. Then click on next. Again, we need an IAM role. Why? Because Amazon by default will have 0 level of access on our resources. So you must create a role to copy all data from device to S3 bucket. So click on create or select IAM role. It is going to open one click role page. So click on allow. Immediately one role is going to create and we are going to get that role here. Now, do you want to enable encryption? There is no option to disable. By default, it is going to enable. You cannot disable this. But if you want to go with the default, you can go with that. Or if you want to select your own, you can just go and you can select your own encryption mechanism also. Why? Because this device is going to ship with a courier service. If you are in USA, like UPS, United Parcel Service is going to ship that. If you are in India, like a DHL is going to ship that. So you may suspect like they may connect this device somewhere and they may get all the data. So when you enable KMS, they cannot view the data as data is completely encrypted. And again, we are going to get a file and unlock code. If you have that, then only you can unlock the device. Let's click on next. Again, SNS topic. So if you want to get notifications, you can simply select. Yesterday in our last session, we created one SNS topic, right? So if you want to use the same, you can just go here, you can use the same. This is the one we created, important notifications. You can select how many users subscribed, they all are going to get notifications related to job, this particular job. Then click on next. So this is information and they are going to get notification when all these happen. And for this job, the cost is going to be $200 per job. And first 15 days, or first 10 days, first 10 days, it is free. That means whatever the data you want to upload, you can upload within 10 days. Then you can ship the device. You are not going to get charged anything additionally. You are going to get charged only $200. But if you fail to, or if you are extending that, you are going to get charged for every single day after 10 days. That is $200 for Snowball and $250 per job for Snowball Edge. Again, here also 10 days is free. After that, for every single day, I believe it's a $15 per every single extra day. So this one, I'll show you how exactly that looks like. So if you accidentally clicked on this create job option, make sure you cancel it within an hour. You are not going to incur any charges. But if you fail so, you are going to get charged for the job, and Amazon is going to send the device. Call me, I'll show you how to configure that. Okay, so I'm not going to select that, I cancel that. Okay, so by using this we can, and while creating we have a local storage option. So important export is fine. What exactly that local storage is? So for example, you need a storage device just for 10 days. Again, you really don't want to send any data, or you really don't want to receive any data. Let's assume you decided to rebuild your entire network and you have some data. So what you can do, you can copy all the data into this device. You can rebuild your entire network. Then you can copy all the data. You can delete everything from the Snowball device and you can send it. So locally, for your own purpose, whatever purpose it is, you are using that 50 TB or 80 TB device. So